So the UK just had an election, and the Conservative Party has been running the UK's government for almost a decade and a half. They've been pretty conservative, at least by, like, first world standards outside of the United States. Their conservative far right is kind of like Mitt Romney adjacent. And their conservative prime minister, as well as a lot of conservative members of parliament, lost in a pretty big way, I guess. And that's big news. Mostly because they didn't do anything to make it big news. Did you know you could lose an election and not throw a toddler temper tantrum about how you think everything's unfair? And you can accept defeat with grace and humility and a notable lack of sedition and porn star scandals? Did you know you can be under 175 years old and run for the government of a powerful country? Check this out. This is some excerpts of the concession speech of the outgoing Prime Minister.
I will shortly be seeing His Majesty the King to offer my resignation as Prime Minister. To the country, I would like to say first and foremost, I am sorry. I have given this job my all, but you have sent a clear signal that the government of the United Kingdom must change, and yours is the only judgment that matters.
You mean you're not going to slander the majority of the country that voted against you and call them unpatriotic because they didn't want you representing them anymore? That's a novel concept.
I have heard your anger, your disappointment, and I take responsibility for this loss.
Wait, if you take responsibility for this, how are you supposed to blame it on everybody but yourself and send a little treason tribe to try to overthrow democracy and stop the peaceful transfer of power? It doesn't make any sense.
Following this result, I will step down as party leader.
Well, that's not a very good way to hijack control of your party and turn it into a weird little cult so you can milk your followers' misplaced devotion for every last dime in their bank account by selling them NFTs and pieces of dirty clothing. What are you even doing with your political career, man?
Whilst he has been my political opponent, Sir Keir Starmer will shortly become our Prime Minister. In this job, his successes will be all our successors.
Wait, if he's successful, then you might actually have to come up with real policies that people would actually like to run on in the next election, and that sounds like a lot of work. What are you doing?
And I wish him and his family well. Whatever our disagreements in this campaign, he is a decent, public-spirited man who I respect. He and his family deserve the very best of our understanding as they make the huge transition to their new lives behind this door, and as he grapples with this most demanding of jobs in an increasingly unstable world.
Wait, if he's successful, then you might actually have to come up with real policies that people would actually like to run on in the next election, and that sounds like a lot of work. No, you're supposed to be convincing that he's going to turn all of their kids into woke, trans, socialist, communist furries with gender studies degrees, and then they're going to forcibly kick you out of your house to give it to the cartel members they illegally smuggled across the border with their welfare check in the back of their Tesla. You are really bad at this job. All jokes aside, guys, this is what our leadership is supposed to look like. This is how the transfer of power should be handled when somebody loses an election. This is what we should be expecting from our elected officials across the board. And if you repeatedly lose the popular vote, your party should be going back to the drawing board and coming up with more popular policies, not trying to stop anybody who's going to vote against you from voting. And definitely not stacking the judicial branch with partisan hacks to push your agenda because you can't get your legislation passed democratically. Congrats to the UK on the Labour Party big win. That is awesome. Huge respect to the UK's Conservative Party for handling this so graciously. You are definitely giving us something to aspire to.